Welcome back. Okay, let's jump straight into episode 4 and pick up right where we left off. If you've been following along with us, you know we've been walking through the raw, unfiltered reality of starting a business completely from scratch. It has been a wild ride of incredibly high highs and some seriously confusing lows. And today, well, we're getting into one of the most pivotal moments of our entire story. This was the day the illusion finally shattered, the day we realized that something just didn't add up. Remember where we started? Step 1 was the decision. We needed something that would actually work, something people needed every single day, which led us straight to food, specifically bakery production. Then came step 2, the training. We went out, we learned how to mix, how to bake, how to get that texture exactly right. We really thought we were fully prepared. And that gave us the confidence for step 3, the setup. We spent the money, bought the big mixers and ovens, stocked up on all our ingredients, and just threw ourselves into the deep end. And of course, that culminated in step 4, those thrilling first sales. Customers were actually buying what we made. Money was moving. We were officially in business.
So, looking at the journey so far,
Up to this point, if anyone had asked us how things were going, we would have smiled and said, "Oh, it's great." Because from the outside, production was running like clockwork. The ovens were hot, sales were happening every single day, and honestly, the best part was that customers were returning. It felt incredibly validating. We weren't dreaming anymore. We were actually doing it. But on the inside, there was this quiet, growing discomfort. Because no matter how much we worked, no matter how many hours we put in, or how much sweat we left on that bakery floor, the money simply did not match the effort.
and that brings us to that quiet discomfort.
I really want to lean into this feeling for a second, because I know so many of you watching have felt this exact same way. At first, it wasn't some sudden, dramatic crisis. There were no fire alarms going off. It wasn't something we could easily point a finger at and say, aha, there's the problem. It was literally just a pit in our stomachs. So to try and ease that discomfort, we started asking these incredibly simple, fundamental questions about our money. Things like, hey, how much did we actually make today? What exactly did we spend on raw materials? How much is actually left over at the end of this shift? Now, in any functional business, these should be the easiest questions in the world to answer, right? You pull up a spreadsheet, you check the ledger, and boom, there's your number. But the answers we kept giving ourselves, oh man, they were terrifyingly vague. Every single time we tried to answer those simple questions, it sounded exactly like this. Well, I think we made enough to cover the flour. It should be around what we made yesterday. It's probably going to be fine once we sell tomorrow's batch. I think it should be, probably. We were managing our entire livelihood based on feelings and guesses. Which leads us right to the absolute danger of the word probably. When you're just dreaming about starting a business, probably is fine. It will probably work. But when you have real, hard cash on the line, when you've bought expensive equipment and you have suppliers relying on you to pay them, probably is a ticking time bomb. Just let the weight of that word sink in for a second. Probably is not a number. You cannot deposit probably into your bank account. You definitely cannot pay your suppliers with probably. We realized with a lot of dread that we were using this word as a shield to protect ourselves from the fact that we had absolutely no idea what our financial reality actually was. And that brings us to a really harsh awakening. What you can't measure, you can't control. It's a core business truth. And this was the exact moment we finally started looking closer at the physical reality of our operation. We noticed that our production quantities didn't always match up with our sales at the end of the day. The physical stock we had left over didn't balance with what we knew we baked. Some days felt like a really good day just because we were exhausted, but the numbers, when we finally tried to scrape them together, they just didn't prove it. We weren't running a business, we were running on assumptions. This is when the truth hit us like a ton of bricks. We were completely under the illusion that because we were busy, we were running a business. We were active for sure, we were committed. But let's break down the massive difference here. A real business system is measured, tracked, and controlled. It tells you exactly where you stand, down to the penny. But running on assumptions? That is pure guesswork. It's full of unseen risks. It gives you this incredibly dangerous illusion of progress simply because you're physically tired at the end of the day, so you just assume you must be making money. And this brilliantly illustrates what an assumption actually is. It's a belief accepted as true without proof. And guys, it is the silent killer of businesses. Why? Because assumptions do not fail loudly. Think about it. When a piece of machinery breaks down, it makes a massive clanking noise. Smoke pours out, and you know you have to fix it. But assumptions,
They fail quietly, totally out of sight, just eating away at your foundation without you even noticing.
Let me show you what those quiet failures actually look like in the real world. It's a little loss here. Maybe a batch of dough didn't rise properly, so you just toss it. It's a little waste there, ingredient spilling, or overportioning the final product. It's a little underpricing that you don't even notice because you never bothered to calculate the true cost of your packaging. Individually, these things seem so tiny, but together, they drain the absolute lifeblood of your entire operation. They change absolutely everything.
And that led us to the naked truth.
All of this led to the chilling realization that we were essentially driving a car at 80 miles an hour completely blindfolded. That quiet discomfort we felt back in the beginning, yeah, it had grown into a roaring alarm in our heads. We didn't actually know what was happening in our business. Sure, we had the production skills, but we had zero visibility on our true financial health. And once you see that, you literally can't unsee it. So we were standing at a crossroads, facing two very distinct options. Option one, ignore it. Just keep baking, keep selling, and hope that the sheer volume of our hard work would eventually fix the math. Or option two, stop everything, rip off the Band-Aid, and figure it out. It was a terrifying choice because digging in meant facing some really ugly numbers. But we made the difficult, necessary choice. We chose to figure it out.
But here's the kicker. The very moment we tried to get clarity, we discovered something even more uncomfortable than we initially thought. We weren't just missing a few pieces of information. We weren't just a little bit disorganized. The ultimate, uncomfortable truth was that we had absolutely zero system in place. Nothing. We were running purely on momentum and hope. We knew we had to change everything right then and there if we wanted to survive. But we had no idea just how brutal the process of finding our actual numbers was going to be. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you actually running a business system right now? Or are you just running on assumptions? Which leads us perfectly into our next episode. You absolutely won't want to miss it. Next episode is titled The Day We Tried to Calculate Our Profit. It is a wild, wild ride of facing the music. Before you go, please make sure to hit that like button, share this with anyone you know who's building something from the ground up, and subscribe to the channel so you get notified the second the next episode drops. You definitely don't want to miss what happens next. See you then.